All right, so this is the recap for the second week of November. It's from the 11th until 15th, 2024. I traded 3 days here this week, and we have some nice trades, and I just want to recap that. PLTR, the first one, everyone knows that this, is over inflated compared to what they make in a year. I think they're trading like 145x of their earnings, and that's just not acceptable. But we are a stock market. Stocks can stay um, irrational longer than we can stay solvent, so we have to be careful with that and just play what the stock market gives us. So the first trade was on PLTR. I shorted in pre-market. I then added in the open, and then I covered because it was too strong for me to hold. This was actually which day? This was on the 12th. All right. So you can see on the 12th it had a small green day, but the day before it went down. So let's have a look at that. 1 second. All right, so this was the day that I traded it. I shorted here. It was kind of inside day. There was nothing happening, but I shorted here, covered some here. I didn't cover. I'm funny, but that would be ideal to cover here. But probably the move wasn't significant enough. It was just $1, and I probably was risking at least $1. So 1 to 1 wasn't enough. Plus, it was pre-market. I didn't have proper size. I got my size here probably, and that's why I covered. I probably was trading in another stock, so I wasn't really focused on it, so I just left it. I mean, good that I left because it didn't do anything that day, right? It came back to this pre-market low, never revisited this pre-market low, so and then it continued up, and you know the story. Now it's at 66. All right, next trade the same day, AFRM. AFRM, I entered here on the 12th on this candle. All right, so I mean, this chart on the right, I didn't see. You can see this was also an inside day. Nothing significant happened, but I was shorting into this line, 57.75. This was the line. I saw that it went to that line and then it rejected, and that rejection gave me conviction to enter my short. So I entered the short, and obviously risking this rejection candle, and then I started covering. So I was just covering whatever I could get, and then it recovered and went back up. So I was already out of the trade. I covered everything into here. Then you can see it reclaimed VWAP, went back up. Nothing I would like to be in. Wait, this one, yeah. So I covered, I mean, nice trade, green day, on to the next. So the next one was 14th. I traded APP. Oh yeah, this one stinks. I'll show you why. Because APP, you can see this one is like significantly up from very lows of like 37 when it IPO'd, to I don't know if it's IPO'd there, not sure, but to now being at 300. 300 seems like a level that keeps rejecting, and I traded it when on 14th, so that's this day. All right, let's have a look at that. Actually, I could do even a 5-minute chart. So that's on the 14th. Let's have a look at that. All right, I know now. All right, so what happened here was it it went up significantly in the morning, right? So from 280s to 300s, and then it pulled back. And the only interesting area for me for this pullback after a move like that was in 290s. Like it's 50% of that, and 290s, I think it wasn't previous days close, but there was definitely some, you can see here that 290s was an area of resistance, and now it kind of became an area of support, right? So It was resistance here, then it broke out, and yeah, resistance, then it broke out, and then it kept being resistance. And here it was so easy to go through it that I thought everyone who bought at 290s, or sorry, was shorting at 290s would be covering once it came back. So this was the idea, that I'll just scoop some into 290s, right? I got one here, another one here, and then I just started selling because I couldn't stay at the screen. That was the issue. I just had to leave the screen. I couldn't be there, so I just covered whatever move I got and I left. I think if I would have stayed, this would have been a really nice move up, to 300s, maybe even higher, if it worked. But yeah, the thing is, I wasn't in the screen, and also my next trade on this one was planned to be at 302, right? Because there was the resistance from here at 303. So I wanted to start scaling at 302, 303, and then 305 be my whatever resistance, resistance stop out. But I wasn't at the screen to utilize my long trade, and I wasn't at the screen to utilize my short trade. So this stinks. I didn't trade anything else, so this was the only green thing that I had on that day, and that's about it. I think here I even have the idea. Oh yeah, it was a trend line as well that it broke out through. Here you could draw a trend line and see that it broke out on that day. So I was like, okay, it might get stronger, who knows. But yeah, that's what I traded. Not very happy with it because I could have capitalized more on it, if I had the time to stay at the screen. Yeah. All right, so let's move to the 15th, which is the latest day that I kind of freshly remember. Was the GME trade. GME, yeah. So let me show you actually GME, right? This ticker, let's draw some lines here just so you know what I'm talking about. So let's see. This was the resistance, right? It spiked here, but then it held here, and yeah, this one didn't quite get there, but it was, going up and up and up. And then my idea was, all right, let's let it pull back into this resistance into 228, 50s, whatever, 28 20s, 50s, and I started getting into it in pre-market. This was like, I don't know, 30% of my size. Then I chased here a little bit because right after the open, it dropped down. And I was like, okay, this is my, it's this day, right? Just on the right side. I was like, all right, so that's my entry. It dropped down um, right after the open. I was like, okay, let me get in. I want some more shares, but I entered just sorry, just 10% of my size. And then I was waiting for this to pull back. I don't know how I knew it. I was like, okay, I either have just this size and this size, right, that I added here. Maybe it will continue, but this is a little bit of a chase entry, but it was just on smaller size, so that's completely fine. It pulled back, I added full size here, and then I just started covering, right? I was happy to cover here. I ended leaving the trade at 10 a.m. and it went lower. I could have capitalized probably, what is it, I covered here into 2720s. It went to 2650s, so 70 cents I left on the trade, but that's all right. I'm still happy with how it worked out. This was either like gonna be a big breakout, but GME is already washed up, I think, and the market also wasn't moving up. So yeah, I'm happy with this rejection trade. Um, I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, that I had two more trades that were just, scratch trades. DJT, DJT starting going up, and I was like, okay, this was the latest resistance, 2830s, and that's where I shorted it in 2830s. But It then went higher to 2850s. I didn't like that. I was like, okay, maybe it will continue even higher, and maybe to 29s. So I was like, okay, I'll just leave it alone. And I just stopped out and I didn't touch it. Maybe I could have held, through 28, through this push and covered back here into WeBat. It was, counter trend short, so not good. I don't like to do that. I I still tend to do that, and that's why the stop was so tight. All right, so last one was BTCT, and this was stretch trade. I'm not very happy with this one. I mean, it pulled back up, right? So look at BTCT, right? Let me zoom out a little bit. All right, so this was the trade, and yeah, so you can see it was holding this trend line, and then it in the morning it started failing down and was under this trend line, and then it pulled back into it. That was my fucking entry, 1875. So that's where it pulled back. I entered short here. I could have probably held for longer, but I didn't like how it was holding too close to that line. Right? I wanted it to pull back, reject, and continue lower, but it pulled back, rejected a little bit, but still held this support and went back to retest some highs and kind of an inside day back and forth. um no big significant moves. I could have held it from 1875s to at least 7, to make a buck on it, but yeah, not an ideal scenario. Plus I was up on GME, so I didn't want to give back any profits. That was another thing to think about. You can see here, could have stayed in it, but yeah, it is what it is. Same here. I was trying to short previous resistance with tight stop, and this one was the winner trade. Yeah, so yeah, that's about it. That's the recap. I'm green on the month, haven't had a red day. I hope to continue the streak to scale up as well, which is a struggle that I have. I really need to start scaling up to start getting at least into 3-digit days. All right, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the recap. This is mainly for me to reference back to it in the future so I can find my easy money trades.